Imagine you hit the jackpot. You're set for life. Unlimited money, ultimate freedom. But what if I told you there were entire periods in history where being rich was actually a death sentence? Where your wealth was a magnet for disease, betrayal, and public execution. Not a blessing, but a curse. We think of wealth as a shield, a way to escape the common problems. But for thousands of years, money didn't just buy comfort. It bought unique, terrifying problems. Today, we're diving into 5 eras where being rich was the absolute worst. We'll uncover how the game was rigged, what really happened, and what those forgotten lessons can teach us about true security today. Our first stop, ancient Rome. Year 50 AD. You are a senator. You own vast estates, a legion of slaves, and enough gold to buy a small country. You live in a marble villa surrounded by art and philosophy. Sounds pretty good, right? But here's the brutal truth. In Rome, wealth was a target painted on your back. How did it work? The emperor. He was the ultimate power, and if his treasury ran low, or if he simply disliked your face, he didn't raise taxes, he confiscated assets. The easiest way to do that? Accuse a wealthy senator of treason. What really happened? A whisper in the forum, a false accusation, and suddenly you're facing execution. Your family disgraced, your fortune seized. There was no due process, no appeal, just the emperor's word. Your life wasn't your own. It was a temporary loan from the state, revocable at any moment. Why did people believe it? Because the emperor's power was absolute, divine. To question him was to question the gods, and the public, often struggling, saw wealthy senators as corrupt, making their downfall easy to accept, even celebrated. What can we learn today? Even in a democracy, power can target wealth. Think about sudden tax changes, asset freezes, or public shaming campaigns. The Roman lesson: absolute power makes absolute targets. Next, we fast forward to medieval Europe, year 1347. You are a feudal lord, a baron. You command a castle, loyal knights, and vast lands. You are the most powerful man for 100 miles. But your wealth offered no escape from the greatest killer in human history, the Black Death. How did it work? The plague didn't care about your title or your gold. It was spread by fleas on rats, thriving in the cramped, unsanitary conditions of both peasant villages and noble castles. Your luxury of imported goods often brought the infected rats right to your doorstep. What really happened? While peasants died in their hovels, you, the baron, died in your lavish bed. Your wealth couldn't buy you a doctor who understood germ theory. The best medical advice of the time? Bloodletting, leeches, or prayer. All useless. Your castle, designed to keep out armies, was a death trap for disease, trapping infected people inside. Why did people believe it? They believed it was divine punishment, a curse. The rich, with their perceived sins, were just as vulnerable, reinforcing the idea that God's wrath was indiscriminate. What can we learn today? Even with all our medical advances, pandemics remind us that some threats transcend wealth. True security isn't just financial, it's also about public health and scientific understanding. Our third era, Renaissance Italy. Florence, 1490. You are a member of the Medici family, a banker, a patron of the arts. You control the city's finances, influence popes, and live in unimaginable splendor. But your wealth bought you a different kind of terror, the constant threat of poison and betrayal. How did it work? In the cutthroat world of Renaissance politics, power was consolidated through alliances, marriages, and often murder. Rivals, jealous nobles, or even disgruntled family members saw your wealth as a prize to be taken, and poison was the weapon of choice. It was untraceable, silent, and deadly. What really happened? You couldn't trust your food, your wine, or even your closest confidants. A beautiful goblet of wine could be your last. A seemingly harmless gift, a perfumed glove, could carry a deadly toxin. The rich lived in a constant state of paranoia, hiring food tasters and bodyguards. But even then, betrayal often came from within. The Borgias, the Sforzas, these families were masters of this deadly game. Why did people believe it? The Enlightenment had spread ideas of equality and justice. The glaring disparity between your wealth and their poverty was no longer seen as natural order, but as a crime. Your downfall was their liberation. What can we learn today? Extreme inequality can lead to social unrest. When the gap between the rich and the poor becomes too vast, wealth can become a liability, and public sentiment can turn against you with devastating speed. Finally, let's look at the early 20th century. New York City, 1929. You are a titan of industry, a Wall Street financier. Your fortune is measured in millions, your name synonymous with success. But your wealth vanished overnight, and you became the scapegoat for an entire nation's despair. How did it work? The Roaring Twenties had seen unprecedented speculation in the stock market. Many, including the wealthy, were heavily invested, often on margin, meaning they borrowed money to buy more stocks. It was a house of cards. What really happened? Black Tuesday. The stock market crashed. Fortunes evaporated in hours. Millionaires became paupers. But it wasn't just the financial loss. The public, who had idolized you during the boom, now blamed you for their suffering. You were seen as greedy, reckless, and responsible for the Great Depression. You went from being a symbol of aspiration to a symbol of failure and corruption. Why did people believe it? Because it was easy to point fingers. The sudden, inexplicable loss of jobs and savings needed a villain, and the visible, often arrogant wealth of the financiers made them the perfect target for public anger and resentment. What can we learn today? Even immense wealth is vulnerable to systemic collapse, and in times of crisis, public perception can be more damaging than any financial loss. True resilience isn't just about accumulating wealth, but understanding its fragility and cultivating a sense of shared responsibility. So, what can we learn from these darkest chapters of wealth? Perhaps that the pursuit of riches often comes with hidden costs. That security isn't just about money, but about context, community, and control over your own fate. What era do you think had it the absolute worst for the rich? Let us know in the comments below, and subscribe to Humbug History to keep learning how history works.